Welcome everyone. Welcome to the fourth session of Book Clubs Across Border with me, Faisalabad Khost. This is the first session for the new year, so happy new year to all our friends in Afghanistan. The book that we're discussing today is Iqbal. Iqbal is a story of a young kid in Pakistan who rose up against the challenges that he faced to secure a safe life for himself and many other fellows. Iqbal is a story that touches upon many important topics that both countries, Pakistan and Afghanistan, still face. Topics of child labor, topic of right to education, the topic of violence against kids, and the topic of commercial exploitation. Now, these are topics that we all, both in Pakistan and Afghanistan, encounter on a daily basis. But it's only very few times that we find sources such as Iqbal to see a different perspective of this and to actually understand the lives that they're going through and the challenge that they're facing. So today the conversation is going to be revolving around these topics. I would like our participants, of course, to please introduce themselves and talk about their experiences of reading this book.
Yeah, thank you. As you mentioned, that today we're going to discuss about the novel, which is Iqbal. So it's a story of a kid in Pakistan, especially Lahore. So our students are ready to discuss over the book, and also they have enjoyed and read the book from the very beginning to the end. So we are ready to start this session.
So my question to your students in Ghost was this: that how was the experience of reading this book? What was their experience while they were reading the book and going through the journey with Fatima about Iqbal and about how Iqbal came to her carpet weaving factory and kind of changed the world for her. So yeah, I would just like to hear the 2 cents about that.
Yeah, okay. So I let my first student to come and share the experience of reading the book. Yeah. Hello? Who's reading? Just to share the experience reading the book. How did you feel while reading the book? Yeah, okay. No.
This is Faisalabad Khost. The book that I wrote about the Iqbal, everything has positive and negative section. So the some positive section about the Iqbal in the novel of word the story that he one sentence that never gave up. That was the positive section that I got from the story of him. It has a few negative sentences or negative points like ideas and notions like the poverty, selling of babies, and also selling of babies in the two small babies, like they were in the age of 5 to 17. They work in a factory and they are not feeling well. And also, these were the negativity of the story. And also, one thing that it was not fantastic for me was the hero that was passed away in the end. So that was my notion about the book. I think you may got it.
That's Thank you so much for sharing your views about it. And you mentioned like that there were certain aspects which were kind of negative in the sense that they were something that we may not like to happen. So how was it for you to read about the story of Iqbal and how he was sold to a carpet viewing factory manufacturer to pay off the debts of his family? So how was the story for you? Were you able to relate to it? Maybe through your experiences and observations in your own society?
Excuse me.
Okay. What I was saying is that, like you mentioned, that there were certain negative aspects of the book that you mentioned about Iqbal being sold to a corporate manufacturer in order to pay off her father's debt. So, how was it for you? How were you able to relate to that experience of this?
say yourself.
Yeah. So in our society, it's not like this. In it wasn't like that. But for me, it's not a good idea. They selling off the children to bear up their money for their families. So it's not a good point for me.
That's great. That's great. Any other participants from course who would like to share their experience about reading this book?
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Yeah, so he means it wasn't a good idea, as you mentioned, that commercial exploitation. It's not a good idea, like misuse children and boys, so, because they have a lot of rights in their generation. But actually, throughout history, we have experienced such bad stories and also such uh, uh, bad things against children, against women. And so women and children are generally called the poor in today's world. So throughout history, we have lots of bad examples of that, stories of that in Afghanistan and also especially in area in Iran. So hopefully these things will not be refuted again. And hope people take care of their rights.
That's very well said. That this is something that is not just happening in Pakistan or Afghanistan. It's happening everywhere in the world, and mostly in the developing countries. Because these are these are the places where we see that these kids are exploited by big multinational big corporations for their benefit and for getting cheap labor in the name of cheap labor. These kids are exploited, and that is something which is very much against the whole notion of having a free space and having a capacity to learn and grow themselves. So yeah,
Yeah,
if it would be really great if there are any other participants who would like to share their opinion on the book and how was it for reading them.
yeah, yeah.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum to all of you. My name is Muhammad Harun. I would like to talk about Iqbal novel that is very good and a good novel for me that I read and learn from this book. I learned something from this book that is positive and negative. First of all, positive is this that Iqbal never give up, and also he 2 times escaped from the carpet. He worked there with Hussein Khan, and also he never give up and run his target to open and become independence from the slavery. They work with businessmen and carpet masters here in Lahore. And also another thing was this that Fatima and Maria was two little girls that we worked here with Hussein Khan, and they also support Iqbal to work and achieve his goals that he have in his mind, and also he independence a lot of children that we work with Hussein Khan and also with another carpet and break victories in Lahore. And also one thing was this negative for me that I don't like do stories, films, or serials that actors or actresses become dead in that, such as
Main star. The main
the
star.
main star, the main star, like Iqbal dead and murdered by the carpet mafia, and which he was 13 years old, and also Maria and Fatima and Iqbal didn't become together to live together and work more for independence of children in Pakistan, especially in our in whole of the world. And another thing was this that these people that they work there with them, like Hussein Khan and another masters, they work with them children. They didn't know about the society about the sun, about the things that go on and run in the country, such as when mentioned there that one day Hussein Khan started TV in his room, but Karim went there and looked the TV what he watched in the TV, and also he watched their cricket game. When he come back to the children, he said the story to them. But Fatima asked for him, "What is cricket?" This very bad thing for me that they don't know about cricket. That what's cricket? And also in other things that they suffer there and also suffer me all about the children in Afghanistan, in Pakistan, in whole of the world that they only eat one chapati there and only water and soup there didn't give them a lot of things to eat. And also another thing was this that for me, we work 1/2 hour before from the dawn until sunset. This is the bad thing for them. And also for the whole day, give them 1 rupee and also erase one line from their debt. It's so bad thing for me in this story. This is things that
That's
I.
right. That is rightly said. That is rightly said. The story of Iqbal, while I was reading the book, it was really traumatizing for me as well to hear about how the living conditions they were in, how they were treated by their master, and the traumas that were in, especially like you pointed out when Kareem was watching the television, very scared, and was trying to hear the voices. And the voices were so alien to the kids. I mean, they had never seen a movie. They had never no idea what cinema was and what movie is, and then again
What's
what
cricket?
sport cricket is, and these
Yeah,
and what's cricket, which is a very essential part of being a Pakistani. But
yeah,
these kids, they had no idea of it, so it kind of
yeah.
questioned me, made me question as well the reality that I have in my mind about how society is. I mean, obviously we know about child labor. We see kids everywhere, like in chai stalls that we have chais in the tea stalls that we have in Karachi and all over Pakistan. We see these kids working around that, but it's only when we read tales such as Iqbal, we stop for a second and we think, oh my God, how are we participating in all of this endeavor? And like you said, Iqbal, when he went to Boston to give his speech where he got an award for his services, he mentioned that though he mentioned to the audience of America that don't buy carpets that are made in Pakistan because they are made by kids like me who suffer, and these kids are not. They should have pen rather than a carpet viewing instrument. So rightly said, rightly said. I believe we have our participants from Faisalabad with us. So let's move the conversation to them and let's see how was it for them to read the book Iqbal and what were the lessons that they learned from them.
Thank you.
So thank you so much. Thank you so much. So Faisalabad, can you hear us? Faisalabad, are we audible to you?
Yes, can you hear us, please?
Yes, we can hear you. Thank you so much for joining with us.
Thank you.
So how are you guys? Everybody, hello. Happy New Year. So we were just engaging in a conversation with our participants from Khost about the book Iqbal. And I would just like to ask your participants in Faisalabad that how was it for them to read the book Iqbal? What were their experiences? And just if they can share their experiences and 2 cents about the book Iqbal.
How was the book? Zan, can you please share your views about the book? Come on. Yes, Maria, you can come here. Yes, Zan.
Assalamu alaikum. Can you hear me?
Alaikum Salam, we can hear you.
Okay, my name is Mariam, and I thought that this book was a really different approach to teaching other people about child labor. Because usually, when you read a book or you see child labor, it's always about the people who own them, it's always about how corrupt they are. And no one's ever talked about how the children feel in all of this, and their voices go unheard. So I really, really like the fact that we actually got to see it through someone else's view for the first time.
And while reading this book, Mariam, just a question, follow-up question. That while reading this book, like you said, it provides a unique perspective to how the kids who are going through child labor and bounded labor, how's life for them. So while reading the description of how they were living, the living condition, the eating patterns, how they used to work tirelessly, how was it for you to read about these things?
These things made me feel really like sad that it shouldn't exist because they're children, and just like maybe I was once younger, maybe all my friends were younger. We had a very carefree childhood in a sense, and that if those kids shouldn't be forced to go through lots of labor and tireless work, and rather they should be given the chance to grow up the same way most other kids are as well.
Very well said, carefree childhood, and how children are supposed to be carefree and should have a free child. The book of Iqbal also talks of one of the underlining factors that I feel it touches upon is the importance of being a free child. Iqbal repeatedly tells about how it is important for a children to learn to be able to play rather than working in a corporate factory. Although he understands that it is somehow his responsibility to help his parents to get them rid of their burdens, the debt burdens that they have fallen upon, but he also recognizes that that's not how the life should be. So from a very young age, we see that Iqbal looks at things from a holistic perspective, where he does not really blame his father, but he understands the entire structure that restricts his father from being able to allow Iqbal to have a free childhood. And it is a very important aspect that you have touched upon. So I'll just take that conversation to our friends in Coast, and I would like to ask them how do they feel that the importance of being a free child, how important it is for a child to be free, and do you feel like the current structure in your society allow a child to have a free childhood, as we said?
عموما نوال عمومی كمان بيعمل
In the name of Allah, who is the most compassionate and the most merciful, my name is Nazia. And my general comments for this story, I learned from this a lot of things, and such as like that we learned from it that once guys were suffering, whose name was Isbal, work in industry, and a lot of challenges to his life and how to make his laboratory and a lot of working on him from sunrise to sunset. And my message is that for Afghanistan people and from all the world that our religion Islam is so much beautiful religion, and try to learn and uh, try to learn and try to read it. And God and our leader Muhammad peace be upon him have said to us that the have said to us, put on your brother, sister, and daughter good name, and after they treat them well, get into school, and a lot of Allah has given Islam to them. And God says in the middle of Holy Quran, you should be good behavior with your children, And also, Islam has given those rights to children that if one son or daughter born in a house, they should put a good name on them, and them going to learn the Holy Quran completely. And after then that, they should marry for them until adult. They are responsible of this child and these children. I think so that if someone is doing a bad works and a bad behavior with the children and the world, they don't know about their religion, Islam, and also the cruel master whose name was Hussein Khan. He didn't know about Islam. If someone is a Muslim, he should learn all the words of Islam, all the laws of Islam. And God said, Al Muslim man salim al Muslimun min lisanihi wa yadihi. It's not a Muslim if a person is suffering from his hand and tongues.
Tell them about our society. Are our children free nowadays?
Yup, our children is free nowadays. They are going to school. They are learning a lot of things during the day and during the work. And also, goodness, we have so much religion. We have a lot of religious school in Afghanistan, such as in Khost. There are so much Muslim people, and they are giving to their women a lot of love. Who is giving Islam, they apply it.
Thank you so much for your input. At this point, I would like to talk about how the book Iqbal is basically how I feel about the book. And for me, Iqbal's story is a story of rebellion. And there is this one defining moment in the story where Iqbal is weaving this carpet, which is very unique and has a very unique pattern. And all the rest of the children in that room, they can see that Iqbal is a very efficient carpet weaver, and their master Hussein Khan is going to sell this carpet for many thousand rupees. But when the buyers are about to come, when they're about to come to Hussein Khan's place, Iqbal, what he does is he rips off the carpet. And I think that moment is a very powerful moment, and you can see that Iqbal he's basically showing that I am capable and I can do whatever I want, but I can show you that I can rebel as well. So my question is for both of the participants from Khost and Faisalabad, that why is it important to read and talk about and hear stories of rebellion, especially a rebellion of a child even when I was a child, we are taught unquestioned obedience. We are told to listen to our parents, to listen to our teachers, not question anything and just, follow blindly. But why is it important to question things and read and talk about stories of rebellion? So it's my question to our friends, both in Khost and Faisalabad. Khost, if you would like to answer this question first, please go ahead.
Yeah.
So it's important that the children are the development of a society in a country. A society can development without children.
So do you think that when we teach our children to not question the authority, is that correct or not?
It's not correct.
All right, thank you so much for your input. Anyone else from Khost would like to answer this question or maybe add their thoughts to this whole story where Iqbal, he rips off the carpet and he shows them that, no, I'm not gonna do whatever you ask me to do.
Thank you.
What did you guys feel while reading that part of the book?
Thing about this, that it's not really important to question children authority, because if they grow up with such challenges in the future, and as they're all grown up, they won't think about other creative things, because their sense of creativity will be all damaged in the childhood. So They will just think have to revenge from others. You know, if you treat children cruelly, like with a bad manner, with a cruel manner, in the upcoming time, as their father or as the elder generation of the society, they will treat other children as they were treated before. So it really doesn't have a good sense to question children authority. We have to let them fly. We have to let them create new things. We shouldn't limit their abilities. We shouldn't limit and keep them in a limited area and not give them the right to make their decision and not give them the right to live a beautiful and good life. So if we are treating them like we heard the story in Iqbal, then we would be really optimistic about the future of our children, and especially children are making the societies, children are making the world. So our next image of the world won't be that really effective or especially good for all of us. So I think from my point of view, it's really important to treat them accordingly, because they are the ones that will make us the new and next world.
Thank you so much, Fadaullah. Now, Faisalabad, would you like to share your thoughts on this? I'll just repeat my question. We were just talking about how Iqbal's story is a story of rebellion, and what do you guys think is, why is it important to read such stories, especially where a child is rebelling the norm? Faisalabad, you students used to be quite vocal. What happened to you guys? I remember when I met you guys for the first time, you all were very excited to share your ideas and you all were very well prepped. I hope everything's okay at your end.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Hashidullah. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, but I cannot see you. I think the camera is not facing towards you. Can you please fix your camera?
I think it is very important to read such stories as they teaches us about our rights, and that we should talk against the unfair laws and practices, as we are also children, and those are also children that work in looms and brick kilns. They have their dreams also to follow, but we should act against unfair practices that are against our rights. And speaking for our rights is is our, you can say, our basic right to speak for our the things we want and the things we like.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much. Anyone else from your side who would like to share their thoughts?
Yes, I would like to share that previously you said that kids are normally taught to always obey the rules, but I believe that kids should be taught which authority they should obey, because there's the ones that who obviously care about us, like our teachers and our parents, and they will tell us to do things we don't like, but they are always for our benefit. And then there's the other authority that may make corrupt laws and that may try to harm us, and that they're the ones that we should be taught to rebel against. So this is also an important part of a person's childhood.
Yeah, thank you so much. I have another question for both of our participants from Khost and Faisalabad. That while reading the book, what do you guys think that what kind of some systemic forces which are, driving the child labor industry? What do you think is happening behind all of this? What's the reason? And if you can, think about the reason, what do you think you can do on a personal level to prevent such practices? I know it's a very hard-hitting question.
Can you repeat the question?
I'm just asking that while reading the book, did you guys happen to think that why is it happening? Why is child labor happening, and what are the driving factors behind this unlawfulness? And moreover, what do you think that you can do on a personal level to, reduce these practices? What can be done?
What are the factors behind this, and what you can do, what role you can play in order to prevent all this?
You can give your answer on a bigger picture, or you can give your answer on a personal level as well.
You can tell the results. You can share the results.
Mainly police is involved with these people and helping them. So I think if it is brought under the notice of government and know about it, people protest against this, then child labor.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You have raised a very good point that if we raise our voice against it and being, educated and being vocal about these things, it's very important to bring such hard topics into the conversation and making other people aware of it as well. That no, this should be stopped and this should not happen. Alicia, would you like to say something?
Yeah, I would just like to add on one thing while Hummat was talking about the abstract from the book where Iqbal rebels and tears up the blue baraka, the carpet, the expensive carpet that he was about to make and earn his freedom from. I remember when Iqbal is introduced in the novel, every kid, Fatma and Nadia and all of them, they just look at Iqbal as a kid who has immense amount of talent, and he's going to make this carpet which is going to earn his freedom, and then he's going to be off free, and he has the talent. So there's a lot of envy that we can find in it, but this act of tearing up the carpet is also a rebellion. But for me, I looked at it as a very empathetic act of courage. uh, Iqbal understood that even if he makes this carpet or 10 more carpets like this, he will not be free. He knew it in his mind that there is no way that he's going to be free. But I feel like he does that act to show to the other kids that this is the reality. This is who we are. Neither I'm going anywhere nor you're going anywhere. And I feel that that is such a powerful act of courage that he portrays at at such a young age. I mean, being an age of at 9 year old, I could not even think of anything beyond myself. And here's this kid who has the capacity to understand that he needs to do this for them to understand what's happening with them. And I feel like the question Urmit asked, that what we can do to derail this child labor industry, which profits so much from the exploitation of these kids. I feel these little effects of empathy that we can empathize with the kid that we see who's pouring us their tea, or the kid that we see who is laundering up the groceries in the mart that we go along. These acts of empathy are something that will drive that rebellion within ourselves as well, like it did for Iqbal. To understand that we are not here to just free ourselves, to benefit ourselves, or to develop our understanding, but to better educate the masses which may never have the opportunity to do so. So, on that thought, I would just like to ask our participants in post that they mentioned earlier the importance of will, and how Iqbal is a story which portrays the power of will and how he is able to achieve all that he was willing to achieve. How do you feel in the situations that you live today in Afghanistan? How do you feel that the power of will is important? How much the power of will is important, and how it has allowed you individually to overcome the challenges that you guys face? Coach, if you can answer this question, and then we can go back to our participant in Faisalabad and take their 2 cents on this.
Thank you. I will say in a few steps according to your question that one thing is important to face with the challenge is the hard working. Do hard work, but do the work best. It will be reach you to the facilities or to something that you want our success. So one thing that do work right and do work hard, it will be better, and there will be new challenges. We nowadays in Afghanistan we are also faced with challenges, but no matter we are going to the university, we lead our lessons and we learn our lessons. There is no matter if there are more challenges that we are faced it with those. If we are not struggle, if we not work hard according to the challenges, there will be nothing there will be no one and who will be do and who will be break the challenges. So we must work hard, we must face with the hard challenges so that we are to break the challenges by hard working and do the work right.
Thank, Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that. I think you raised a very important question, important element that challenges also bring opportunity with them. So in face of challenges, we see that we are able to find the courage and able to find the conviction to do those acts which in normal circumstances we may not have the will or the courage to do. Something which is very, very well said by you. Coming to the same thought with our friends in Faisalabad, that how do they feel that will the power of will is depicted in Iqbal, and how will they like to use this message, this lesson that they've learned, the power of will, how would they like to use in their life ahead?
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Rahul Josefa. I have a question from you is that why it is important to have strong willpower to eliminate the child labor?
Is that a question that you are asking from our friends in Khost?
Okay. Sorry.
No, it's all right. It's all right. You can ask us a question.
Yeah.
Do you want to ask that question to us?
Yes.
Okay.
Uh, Hello there. I'm Ahmed Faisal, and I will like to answer that question. See, Pakistan is a capitalist state. The government here is a capitalist government. So, due to this reason, the community is divided into a section of elite and poor people. Now, the elite people have a lot of influence in Pakistan, like a lot of it. So in order for the poor people to fight for their rights, they have nothing else but willpower to get along and take their rights from the elite people, because they've only got their willpower. They've got no authority and no money to fight against the elite people, the elite sector of our society. So it's only what they've got to defend their rights and get a chance to come forward and fulfill their dreams of getting education and fulfilling their dreams.
And how do you think you can use the power of will to achieve these goals? Like you said that we are in a capitalistic society where the elite do benefit of these exploitations and they want to continue to benefit from these exploitations. But as an individual, how do you feel you can use your power of will to to change the circumstances for people around you and people that you see? How you can change to say? Any thoughts on that?
Well, in this era of social media, at least a person can do is support NGOs and government organizations which are supporting child support to eliminate child labor from Pakistan on from the world, not only
That's
Pakistan.
That's really true. And I just would like to point out, that even though we live in an era of social media where awareness is very rapidly available, we also need to consider the fact that a major majority of Pakistan do not have access to this social media. And they are not able to connect to the world as we are able to connect with them. So I think it's very important for all the members, participants here, to understand that they should create awareness. The importance of them creating awareness of acts such as child labor, acts such as malnutrition, these aspects, these topics that the story of Iqbal covers, there is still a very large unawareness of this phenomena. So I would also like to encourage this point that it is very, very important for us, not for the people who are suffering through this, but for us to go around and try to debunk these myths and try to take the veil out of this society that we have, because it's very important for us to understand that we are facilitators of this entire act. I mean, the elite might benefit of it, but we are the one who allows it to happen. So it's a very important point what brought about by you. Are there any other participants in Faisalabad who would like to comment on this?
It really doesn't matter that what you do, as long as it brings some kind of positivity in the society. It is a positive change. So if you started from your own home, from the people around you, and you tell them about this, that what are the consequences of doing something wrong, just like child promoting child labor, then it can slowly be changed. The society can change, the people will know about it. Awareness is the best way to prevent child labor.
Thank you so much, and rightly said so. So I just have another question for both of our participants in Faisalabad and Khost. So I think Mariam pointed this out as well, that this book is written from a different perspective, that it's written from the child who is in bonded labor. It's written from this fictional character Fatma, even though Iqbal Masih is a real life person. So, but my question here is that even this book is not written from Iqbal Masih's point of view, it's written from Fatma's point of view. A girl who is seeing that this boy, he comes into their community, and she's seeing everything. The whole book is from her perspective. Why do you think the writer did it so? He showed the story from Fatma's perspective. Do you think there was any importance to it? Do you think it was done deliberately, or why was it done so? Why was the story not from Iqbal's perspective, but from this fictional character, Fatma's perspective?
Which person? What's the question? So yes, why?
One thing, according to your question, is that in the end of the story, Iqbal was passed away. So Maher, he could not find the time to write the story by himself. So he just called the story and also like transferred the story to Fatma, and she could be able to write the novel or the story. And the end of the book or the novel, the the important character, which is Iqbal in the book, that is the name of Iqbal, he was passed away. So it's my point of view.
Do you think there was any other big reason of why the book was written from Fatma's perspective. Apart from this, well, that's a very, real factor that Iqbal passed away and there wasn't anyone to, tell his story. But the writer still, fictionalized a bit of it. Like the character of Fatma, it wasn't real, it was, fictionalized. Anyone in Faisalabad who would like to, it's just a very, there's no right or wrong answer in it. Everyone can have their own opinion on this.
No. So what I think is that Fatma is a fictional character, but her purpose is to show the different perspectives. Like I feel like Iqbal represents hope in a way where he's the only carrying him. From Fatma's perspective, we can also see another character, Maria, the little girl, who lost hope to the point that she stopped talking. And even though she was the one who knew how to read, she was the one who had potential to help them all escape. But she lost hope. So I think the purpose of using Fatma's perspective was to show that there's someone who will always hold on to hope, and there's the people who might lose it going along the way.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Very well put. So I agree like 100% of it that Fatma's character, even though if it's fictional, it's very important that while being in this bonded labor, all of the children, they all lost hope and they were like that this is our life now, we cannot go anywhere. But when they found this new person in their lives and they saw that how that person is bringing change in them, that's very important to see that even though if you are stuck in a rut, you can always find inspiration from around you. You can find inspiration in your friends, you can find inspiration in your parents as well, that if they are rebelling against something and they are doing something against odds, you can always find inspiration from them. Anyone else from your side who would like to share their thoughts? Alicia, would you like to say something?
Yeah, towards the end, we only have like 9 minutes left now in the session. And I would just like to read a transcript if I can share my screen with you. Uh, uh, just a second. Yeah. Can everybody view this? So this is an abstract of the speech that Iqbal gave in, like it says, Human Rights Youth Award that he got in 1994, after which he came back to Pakistan and unfortunately was shot, which is considered to be an assassination by the carpet industry in Pakistan. A very important aspect of this, which he says this, and I just want to read that out for you. Children work with this where he shows he holds up the instrument that he has been working on for so many years, and he goes like and so he goes like that. Children work with the instrument, with this instrument. If there is something wrong, the children get beaten up with it, and if they are hurt, they are not taken to the doctors. Children do not need these instruments, but they need this instrument, the pen, like the American children have. Unfortunately, many children do not have pen right now. And he goes on to depict on how he compares Abraham Lincoln with the guy who liberated him. And he is like, oh, as Americans have Abraham Lincoln who basically invaded slavery for them. It was this guy, Hussein Khan, who basically liberated us from slavery. And then he goes around and when he says that I request President Clinton to put a sanction on those countries which uses child labor and do not extend their help to those countries still using child as and allow them to have the pen. The reason why I'm showing this to you is precisely to make you understand that does not matter which capacity it is that you're working in. It does not matter that are you in a government position or are you working in the civil society or are you just an individual citizen. What matters is your will and conviction to go towards those causes that you think are important. So if you feel that child labor is not something that we should fight, then it is upon you, it is incumbent upon you that you should go around and fight and challenge this thing on every walk of life. So on that note, I would like to thank all of our participants for for joining with us and sharing their views with us. I really appreciate everything that we hear, and I'm really, really, really humbled by it. Hurmat, do you want to say any closing?
Yeah, I would just like to thank everyone for participating in our book club and talking so openly about their ideas and their views. And I really hope that it will bring a positive change and will, take practical steps in, whatever we talk about, whether it's unlawfulness, social justices, and all kinds of social evils that we usually talk about. And that's why I always ask in every book club that we hold that what are the steps that we can take personally to reduce such evils in our society. So I'm so glad that we are still able to do these conversations and everyone is participating so actively. I'll just tell you what's our next book is going to be. Um, it's I Am Malala, and it's again a very inspirational and it's a very exciting book. We just had a really good conversation with our participants from Sawat and Kandahar, and I really hope and I'm really looking forward to having that conversation with you guys. So
Remember,
thank you so.
yeah, and just remember that each one need to teach one. So it's incumbent upon you that you would need to teach another person in your life. You should at least teach one person. Okay. So on that note, thank you everyone. Thank you everybody in Faisalabad. Thank you everybody in Post for joining this session, and we are really grateful for that. Thank you everyone. Bye bye.
Thank you for the office.